So happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. Wow. Now I have Tuesday on my brain. Happy Monday. Good morning. Hopefully everybody's having a fantastic day. My coffee's kicking in. Maybe I'm still disheveled yet. I haven't really put the brain all together. But let's start off with our daily pledge. Today is a new day. I'm ready to be the best me I can be. I will listen so I can learn. I will try hard so my brain can grow. I will not give up. I can learn anything I put my mind to. So today is a new day. And it's okay to make mistakes and mess up, right? I can't even talk half the time and you guys are still listening to me, right? On a scale of 1 to 10, where are you at? How are you feeling? Did you wake up feeling pretty good this morning? If so, that's great. If you didn't, what are you going to do today to make some changes? Get out your toolbox or your tool bag and start doing things for yourself that are going to help you feel better, maybe boost your motivation, maybe reduce your symptoms, give you some productivity, whatever it is, do something. That's why we continue to talk about different topics week after week, is that the hope is you have enough tools in your back pocket to encourage you to use them and improve your mental health or improve how you're feeling, whatever it may be. My book is getting pretty thick. I've saved a lot of worksheets, so if you're ever in need of something, you got to let me know, because it's in here, and it's thick, and I saved them all. But again, remember now, any of these worksheets, most of the things that I find, I don't type this stuff up on my own, but I love to find different resources. I find things on Pinterest, NAMI, the clinical interventions. This is the Brain Coach. This one is Empowering Women Now. So there's lots of different resources out there. You just have to go find them, and I like to talk about them because the more we talk about them, hopefully it's going to stick in our brain, and then we're going to just know how to use our tools. So this week, our topic is, now remember last week I kind of touched base on self-esteem and the issue behind that. And a lot of times our self-esteem, it impacts our motivation, it impacts our mental health. It really just plays a big role in how we feel and how we take care of ourselves. And so if we can improve our self-esteem and feel better about ourselves, the hope is that we're going to be more productive, we're going to procrastinate less, we're just going to take better care of ourselves. So the first thing I want to read to you is this poem that I found. I thought it was really sweet and I like it. I don't have to be perfect, I can. All right, so ready? I don't have to be perfect, but I can be enough. Be kind to myself. Try my hardest. Worry about the things that I can control, except the things that I can't control. Try new things, even if there's a chance I might fail. Be satisfied with my effort. Love myself if I fail. Love myself if I succeed. Know others will still love me even if I fail. Know that my mistakes and failures don't define me. Know that my success isn't the reason people love me. That I can still be proud of myself, accept the mistakes of others. Know that I am just as good enough yet. Know that I may just not be good enough yet. We're always working on ourselves. Know that other people are better than me at some things. That's okay. We're not all meant to be perfect at everything, right? There are people out there that are going to be better than us at things. It's okay to make mistakes, lose and still have fun. Don't be afraid to fail. And remember, realize that nobody is perfect. At the end, it's bold. Nobody is perfect. We should never want to be perfect, okay? Because it's just not possible. Self-esteem means having value and respect for yourself. When you have a high self-esteem, you will feel good about yourself and take pride in what you do. It's important to have a high self-esteem. When you have a high self-esteem, you find it easy to try new things. Before you try something new, you will think, I can do this. And not, this is too hard. I will never be able to do this. So here's a little ratings, okay? Here's a little self-esteem rating, and then we're going to talk more about what is self-esteem. And then throughout the week, we're going to talk about ways to improve that self-esteem, because it's so important. If we're talking about our self-care wheel and we're talking about the things I can and cannot control and managing our mental health and socializing and boundaries and relationships, really, it comes back to self-esteem and how you feel about yourself and how you value yourself. Here are some things. Answer yes if you agree. If you don't agree, you don't have to say anything. I like the way I look. I think I am not as good looking as friends in my work, or you can say in your group. It's okay to make mistakes. When I make mistakes, I learn. Do you agree with that? Or do you agree with this statement? It really upsets me to make mistakes. The next ones are, do you agree with this? I like to try new things. Or, I'm afraid to try new things. The next one, I have friends who will be there when I need them. Or, I don't have any friends at all. And the next ones are, whether I win or lose, it's okay. And the last one is, I'm afraid to lose. If you agreed with any of those, it's just a small little blurb of things, but I know that at times, many of us, we are so consumed by making sure that other people are validating us, making sure we're better than everybody else, or at least as good as them. We hold a lot of value in what others think and how we measure up to other people. Okay, so what causes low self-esteem? Well, let's back up. What is self-esteem? All right, listen to this very closely. As human beings, we tend to place a value or a measure of worth to ourselves or aspects of ourselves. So self-esteem usually refers to how we view and think about ourselves and the value that we place on ourselves as a person. If the value we place on ourselves is often negative, this is when we run into problems with self-esteem. If we continually tell ourselves time and time again, we're not good enough, we have friends that are better than us, we're not making the mark like we thought we should, just because you're a certain age. Unfortunately, a lot of times society has placed this image of like what you should have when you're a certain age, where you should be at in life, or else you see others around you and think to yourself, those are the things that I should be doing. Should. Well, don't should on yourself, right? We've talked about this before, stinking thinking. Don't should on yourself. You shoulda, coulda, woulda, right? Those are the things that create more negative thinking. So this creates low self-esteem because now we've built this negative perception of ourselves, and then we start to assume that everybody else is thinking that way too. Low self-esteem. Have you ever been dissatisfied or unhappy with yourself as a whole? Do you ever think that you are weak, stupid, not good enough, flawed in some way, inferior to other people, useless, worthless, unattractive, the whole 9 yards? It keeps going on and on. Everyone uses these words on themselves at times, and usually when they're experiencing a challenge or a stressful situation. However, if you often think about yourself in these terms, you might have a problem with low self-esteem. Low self-esteem is having a generally negative overall opinion of yourself, judging and evaluating yourself negatively, and placing a general negative value on yourself as a person. Now, why do we do that to ourselves? Why do we have this perception and we put a stamp on our forehead of failure and worthless, not good enough? We just have this perception that we continually tell ourselves. Imagine what that does to our mental health. Imagine what that does to relationships in our life. It really does it's like the root. It's the foundation. We have to have a strong self-esteem and we have to be good to ourselves, like I've said many a times, in order to really be able to balance everything else in our life. Otherwise, we don't care. We just have no motivation. We just don't have any drive to want to try harder because why? We're not worth it, right? But that's not true. So here are some impacts of low self-esteem, okay? People with low self-esteem usually have some negative beliefs about themselves. They have frequent self-criticism. A person with low self-esteem probably says a lot of negative things about themselves. They might criticize things about themselves, actions, abilities. They joke about themselves. They're always putting themselves down. They doubt themselves, blame themselves when things go wrong. So the impact of low self-esteem is that we're constantly dogging on ourselves. We're constantly throwing ourselves under the bus. We look in the mirror and all we do is criticize ourselves about how we don't look good enough. Our hair isn't good enough. Our makeup's not good enough. Our clothes aren't good enough. People are just going to think I look awful. Okay? If you're looking in the mirror and you're telling yourself these things, we have a lot of things to work on. Ignoring positive qualities. When you have a low self-esteem, we start to ignore positive qualities. If somebody says you have a nice smile, you go, okay, thanks. That happens a lot. So if people compliment you, I'm just as guilty as as anybody, but sometimes it's hard to accept a compliment, right? If somebody said you look nice today, you go, oh, this ratty old outfit, oh, thanks, I just threw it on. I'm notorious for that. I understand that. That's why I say that. But if somebody compliments your smile or your eyes, a lot of times we just kind of go, sure, you're just saying that, right? Sometimes we start to feel like it was all luck. We don't have any traits. We don't have any skills. Oh, it wasn't that big of a deal. We start to ignore all the positives that are going on around us. The next one is negative emotion. A person with low self-esteem might often feel sad, depressed, anxious, guilty, ashamed, frustrated, and angry. Now I'm starting to sweat. So if you're experiencing these negative emotions, it's because we're so hard on ourselves. You've talked poorly about yourself day after day, hour after hour. You beat yourself up. You throw yourself under the bus. Now wonder why you feel anxious and upset and angry. We have done nothing good to ourselves. You've said nothing good to you. You've disqualified any positive that came your way. And so ultimately what happens is we start to fall in this hole. We get depressed. We get anxious. Our minds start playing tricks on us. And here we are in this huge slump because we feel so awful about ourselves that everything else started to go too. Low self-esteem can impact your work, your relationships. If you don't feel good enough at work, it starts to impact showing up to work, doing a good job at your work, because those are the things that you just don't feel good about. Relationship problems, you start to put yourself in toxic relationships because you don't feel like you're worth anything. If you have low self-esteem, it says relationships. People with low self-esteem might become upset, distressed. They have disapproval. They'll bend over backwards to please others. They become super self-conscious, and they don't stick up for themselves. And they generally find themselves in more of aggressive situations and negative relationships because they're just more easily manipulated with people because they don't have boundaries. And so that is kind of one characteristic of all of that. But that's a whole nother topic. But self-esteem and relationships, it's a huge thing in your life. If you don't have good people in your life, imagine what that does to your self-esteem. I know it's hard to see. Sometimes it's really hard to see those red flags, but we need to be able to notice them more and more. Recreation, leisure, personal self-care. If we don't feel good about ourselves, we're not going to shower, brush our teeth, put clean clothes on, comb our hair, anything. We're not going to pull ourselves together because we don't feel like we're worth it. We don't care. Our motivation's right out the window. Here's some more. What causes low self-esteem? Trauma. Again, we're going to talk about this all week, but I'm just giving you like a little gist of it because I want us to start thinking about these things in our head. I want today your challenge is to start thinking about how you talk to yourself. What maybe led you to this place of low self-esteem? Was it trauma in your life? Was it negative relationships? Do you beat yourself up? What's kind of led you to this place of low self-esteem? We all experience this in some way, shape, or form. Doesn't matter if you're a male or a female. We all experience low self-esteem. But I want you to take a good look at what led you here and how do we get past this? How do we move forward? Where are we going to make improvements so we can start to feel better about ourselves? Again, it's the foundation of our mental health and our physical health. We have to feel good with who we are. So trauma, again, that comes in many forms. Illness, abuse, partner, violence, being shamed or guilted, feeling inadequate, having no purpose in life. If you don't have any reason to get up and get going, we start to really, the negative thinking really weighs us down. We start feeling awful about ourselves. We're not contributing in the world. We don't have any reason. And so there again, now our self-esteem got even worse. So trauma, no purpose, setting unrealistic goals. If we've set unrealistic goals for ourselves, this gets really hard on our self-esteem because we can't meet the mark. We're always stumbling and it's hard to get there. And we stop seeing all the little steps that need to happen to get there. You know, if you're anything like me, I'm a little impulsive. So I always use the weight loss thing as a silly goal because it's so unrealistic. If you started dieting today and you stepped on the scale on Friday and you assumed you have lost 20 pounds, that's an unrealistic goal. Now we feel bad about ourselves. Now our self-esteem went in the tank because we didn't really take a step back and think that through. That's an unrealistic goal. Let's think about all the things that you did in the meantime. Maybe you ate healthier. Maybe you drank more water. Maybe you went walking. Either way, you have to set realistic steps and goals. Then, of course, negative thought patterns. So again, we're going to talk about self-esteem this week. We're going to talk about ways that we can slowly start to work on our self-esteem because, again, I truly believe that is one of the foundations of our mental health. If you don't feel confident in who you are and your abilities and you're not okay with failing and you're not okay with talking nice to yourself, it's going to be really hard to manage your mental health because the second something goes wrong, you will make sure that you make yourself feel so awful about it that it creates lots of setbacks. So today, assess your self-esteem. Write things down. I want you to take notes. Look in the mirror. I want you to think to yourself, like, where did I get here? How did I get this low self-esteem? What affects me the most? I want you to write it down. And we're going to talk about this all week. We're going to talk about just the power of making sure we're doing our self-care and talking good about ourselves and how to change some of that. So self-esteem this week. It's Motivation Monday. Make yourself do things. Get up. Push yourself. You are worth it. You may not believe it right now, but you really are. So do something about that, okay? That's your challenge for today, is to push yourself, assess yourself. We're going to talk more about this tomorrow. Have an amazing day. Drink your lots of water. Get some rest. Take good care of yourself. And we'll see you tomorrow morning.